What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Speaking Wrestling with Elvis Arroyo. And this is Elvis Arroyo, and this is episode 39 of Speaking Wrestling. On this episode, we are recapping NXT WarGames, AEW Dynamite. Going to give you guys what to watch and MVPs and floppers for the week. But like always, guys, before we get started, I want to give you guys a quick reminder. Head on over to our YouTube page, hit subscribe. You can also follow us on YouTube and also on Instagram at Speaking Wrestling and on Twitter at Speaking Wrestle. NXT WarGames 2019 is in the books once again, and to hear my full recap of the weekend, NXT and Survivor Series, be sure to check out episode 38 of Speaking Wrestling, which came out earlier this week. But on this week's episode, we are going to cover what happened, fallout of NXT WarGames, as it was a big weekend for NXT as they shined throughout the weekend, dominating Survivor Series, and also NXT WarGames was a success as this takeover took from Chicago, Illinois as well at the Allstate Arena. 2 WarGames matches in one night. And let's go over it, guys. The first WarGames was the women's. We had Team Rhea Ripley going up against Team Shayna Baszler in this one. And I got to say, this one definitely got kicked off with a lot of action going into that. But definitely what came out of it was Dakota Kai turning on her team, turning on Tegan Nox, incapacitated to continue on to the match, and also Dakota Kai being kicked out of the match by William Regal, which made this a 4-on-2 matchup. But nonetheless, the girls in here, Candice LeRae and Rhea Ripley, 2 of the most badass women in NXT right now, took on 4 competitors, and they dominated, and they overcame, and they won, picking up the win here for Team Rhea Ripley here. Great night of action on NXT WarGames it was. We also saw Finn Balor take on Matt Riddle in what was a hard-hitting fight, main event match, anywhere you put it on. Finn Balor comes up with the victory on this one here. Great stuff. I don't know if there's going to be a second match. Maybe it's just a one-off, but these 2 guys definitely had some great chemistry towards the end of that matchup. Good stuff there. Also, men's WarGames matchup here. Undisputed Era taking on the team of Keith Lee, Tommaso Ciampa, Dominik Dijakovic, and of course, that mystery partner that we were waiting for to be announced the day of WarGames, and it was none other than Raw superstar Kevin Owens, former NXT champion, comes down here to become the 4th member and participating in his first ever WarGames matchup. So good stuff there. We get to see a main roster superstar come down to NXT and put on a hell of a performance. Looked like he was having a whole lot of fun in there with the rest of those guys. Good stuff there that fall from Tommaso Ciampa and Adam Cole to finish up the matchup. Looked brutal. Adam Cole, of course, defending the NXT Championship the next night, which, of course, we covered there as he went up against Pete Dunne at Survivor Series on Sunday evening. But what a victory for the team of Tommaso Ciampa, Keith Lee, Dominik Dijakovic, and, of course, the returning Kevin Owens for one night only on WarGames. Good stuff here, but if I got to say which one was my favorite match out of the both of them, the men's or the women's, I got to say the women's because of just the story that they were being told there, and of course coming back 2-on-4 inside of a WarGames matchup with weapons in there. I mean, what a performance from Rhea Ripley and Candice LeRae, and of course, you know, who stole the show because of her antics, Dakota Kai. And speaking of Dakota Kai, she was in the ring this week's on NXT television with Candice LeRae, a partner that she left hanging in that WarGames matchup. Good stuff here, but she picks up a loss here from Candice LeRae. But I got to say, this has got to be Dakota Kai's maybe longest matchup and most impressive matchup from her on NXT television as she went up against Candice LeRae. But once again, the women's division in NXT so well. I mean, these are, you know, not even near the championship of Shayna Baszler in that title picture right now. But for them to go out there and have a great match goes to show the depth in the women's division for NXT. Some good stuff there. Cameron Grimes also featured in a vignette. He's been featured throughout NXT for like the first 6 weeks, and then we haven't seen him on TV the last couple of weeks, especially taking that loss from Angel Garza to become the #1 contender for the Cruiserweight Championship. But we got a vignette from him, and again, more play on to who he is, what his character is all about, what's his background, and what's his mission statement. I love these vignettes here. We need more of these vignettes that are more character build for them. You don't need to see them on TV. You don't need to put them on there. I think when you give them a moment of shine like this, a vignette where you put them in an element that really lets that character shine and present you more about what they're all about, really where they're from. Good stuff here from WWE and Cameron Grimes. And also, Mansoor was in action against Shane Thorne. Shane Thorne's one of those guys that, he's kind of just drifting around right now, but picks up a loss against Mansoor, who also, is, every time they go to Saudi Arabia, he's the main guy there. He's the top superstar here. So it's good to see that NXT is finally utilizing him more often on television, other than, hey, he just comes around every time they go to Saudi Arabia. And, if they wanted to put him in a program where they want to get him over as that babyface, I think a program between Mansoor and Damian Priest at the moment would be really good. All right, and on to AEW Dynamite. This week they were live from the Sears Center, back where it all started off for them. It's their home of AEW. It's kind of like their mecca of them, their Madison Square Garden. It's where they have their biggest pay-per-view, All In and All Out. But here they're coming back for a taping of AEW Dynamite, and we get kicked off with what we knew was going to be promoted as Jericho's thank you celebration from the executives, from the EVPs. None of them showed up here, but he did receive a letter here as he came out here, and there was all the shenanigans surrounding the ring, people dressed up in suits. And I mean, it looked kind of like the Festival of Friendships all over again, just in AEW, and with a whole different cast here. Once again, it over the top stuff here. It is an entertainment show, but again, this is a little bit similar to what AEW fans have been complaining about. What WWE does is they do this, over the top shtick comedy type of shit that really doesn't work, and Jericho's doing it, and it seems like if Jericho does it or AEW does it, nobody says anything. But if WWE does the same thing like this, which they did a few weeks ago with the whole Baron Corbin and bringing out the dog thing, I mean, everybody goes crazy over the internet breaks, Twitter breaks because of that. But Jericho out and AEW come out here and do the same thing. I mean, it's not any better. It wasn't really that great. I don't think it's Jericho's best stuff, but nonetheless, the guy's having fun and he's putting other people over. I got to say the people that really benefit from this are, Santana and Ortiz, and Sammy Guevara. I mean, these guys are really, gaining stuff from this. And from Jake Hager, I mean, who's being brought in as a heater for Jericho and for the Inner Circle. I mean, I don't know if you take the Inner Circle serious, because they are a menacing group that is taking over AEW, led by Chris Jericho. But everything is just one big spoof, one big comedy spot. I mean, there's times where, they had Virgil out there. This is one big comedy spot. This is one of those where the heels are getting over, but they're getting themselves over. That, when the faces come out, who aren't as anywhere near as entertaining as what Chris is doing. And again, anybody, affiliated with Chris right now or in his inner circle, shines. But anybody else that comes out and is the opposition, isn't going to really, stand up to what Chris is doing. I mean, you really didn't get those good promos from Cody Rhodes leading up to Full Gear. I mean, most of the time, Cody Rhodes just stood there like an idiot in a suit, while Chris Jericho looked like a star, and he's supposed to be the heel, being put down and being made to believe that the babyface is actually going to overcome the heel come pay-per-view time. But in actuality, you're pulling for Chris Jericho because that you don't want him to go any further down where he is right now, because it can only get better, and he's carrying this company from the opening segment to the closing segment, as Chris Jericho was in the main event here defending the AEW Championship against Scorpio Sky. Scorpio Sky picking up a victory over Chris Jericho in a tag team matchup last week, or the number of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. So here's his full match here, getting a one-on-one matchup with Chris Jericho, and it wasn't the best match there, but it was a good effort from Scorpio Sky. Definitely nerves going in there. I mean, you're going up against a legend like that, and it's for the championship of your new company. Good stuff from both of them. I'll say not the best Jericho match, but he's definitely trying his best from what I can see and from what I can hear, of trying to get everybody else over. So, you can only tip your hat off to what Chris is doing, but it's the rest of the talent that has got to pick up the pace. And really, what's going on with the management of the program? And there's a lot of headaches and hassles still going on, a lot of mishaps, definitely on the announcing side. I mean, I said a few weeks ago, I really praised that AEW's announcing team is really coming together. JR isn't as cranky. The team sounds like they're one cohesive unit. But Tony Schiavone, obviously, he has different arrangements outside of AEW, he's meeting them and he's leaving kind of the commentary booth, feeling a little bit empty without him. I know this week they tried having a fan or whoever the hell this guy was on there, but God damn, I did not hear him anytime after just the introduction. I'm glad I didn't hear him because we don't need to be bringing up here fans that want to call a match or doing favors, because that's really what this company's doing. It's just really doing favors for people that they know and they want to help out. But when you do that, it's not really helping out your other end of the business, and it's really showing. And one thing of the management that I got to say, and I say it every single week, is the women's division. I mean, this division is not loaded and it's not, presentable. And to me, I really feel that the women division in AEW are really feeling the heat from the other women divisions in all the wrestling industry, especially in WWE, and who NXT has the best women's division in all of the industry. And I mean, you can challenge me on that one. I know there's going to be some marks that are going to be like, oh no, some Japanese wrestlers, or what about Tessa Blanchard? Come on, really? I mean, the best women wrestlers are in the WWE. It's the best division in all of professional wrestling. And to me, I really get this hint that the AEW women are really feeling the pressure of, wanting to be up there with the rest of the women in the industry. So you can definitely tell in their matches that they're giving them a lot of time, which is good. Always it's always to see more women get more time in the in-ring, but I don't think that their wrestling meets the standards of television wrestling. It really seems that they're trying their best to go out there and give you a WrestleMania, a once-in-a-lifetime moment type of matchup, a Wrestle Kingdom type of matchup that, false finish up galore, and, has you thinking that the longer the match goes or the more brutality stuff that they do, the more that it makes it great. But in reality, it just shows that they are not primed for television. None of these women are primed for television, and it really shows. And like I said, in 2019, you need to check off the list of what you really need to be a successful promotion, and a women's division is got to be at the top. And I don't think that AEW it can validate and check off that they have a very strong women's division to support their case on that one. And I'm going to leave it at that, because another mishap was this whole debut with the Bunny, the Blade, and the Butcher coming in here and attacking Cody Rhodes. And I mean, what a way to make a debut. You go up against, arguably one of the top baby faces in the company, Cody Rhodes, who's beloved by the audience, and you introduce a new tag team who's going to be this new menacing tag team. Now, hold on a minute. You got to pump the brakes on here. Now, I don't mind them really going out there and finding talent and bringing them on to the show, but wait a minute. It's just like Cody Rhodes is started a feud with MJF, and now he's over here getting attacked by a brand new tag team who we don't know what their purpose is. Was it just a one-time thing, and it's just, hey, let's make our mark on Cody, and then we'll attack those who we feel afterwards? Or is this one of those where it's purposely, done to Cody Rhodes? I mean, some of this tie-in might come into the whole Brandy thing, especially since the Bunny in this scenario is Allie. So a lot of confusing parts moving around here. And also the whole MJF factor is the fact that Cody Rhodes is starting a feud with MJF. Meanwhile, MJF is nowhere near Cody Rhodes. He's over there competing for ring championships and being presented by Diamond Dallas Page and getting in face with Diamond Dallas Page. And of course, Wardlow is there, which I got to bring up once again. It's, he's supposed to be MJF's protection agency, his heater. Second week in a row that this opposition of MJF gets their hands on MJF. This guy is utter useless if he's brought on to make sure that nobody gets their hands on MJF. 2 weeks in a row, Adam Page gets in the ring and gets in there with MJF. This week, he lets a guy like Diamond Dallas Page, a 70-year-old man, get in there. He's not really 70 years old, but you get the point. I mean, come on. What's the purpose of this? And also, what's the purpose of this whole feud with the Bunny and the Blade and the Butcher? And again, they look cool. They look great. I remember who these people are. Obviously, the one guy who is the the Blade, he used to be in TNA and Impact, and along with that storyline with Chelsea Green and Allie, and then also and the Butcher is Andy Williams, the guitar player of Every Time I Die, which is one of my favorite bands, and it's really great to see him finally make it onto a really big stage. I've known that he's been interested in professional wrestling since I've been listening to Every Time I Die, and he made his in-ring debut just about 3 years ago, and he's just been on the indie scenes, popping up and doing some shows and some circuit shows. And now he's on the main roster of AEW television, performing on TNT, which has got to be really amazing. So kudos to him. I'm really happy for him. But again, this whole scenario really, does it really make anybody better than they were before coming in? Or is this whole situation with MJF and Cody at some point going to meet up just when we're about closer to telling the end of the story? At this point, I think Cody was just out there to get another victory on his win column by picking up a victory over the local talent. Again, doing it in just every favor that he can just to make himself look good and put his numbers up. But if you want to do something, I think the best thing you could have done, instead of having Diamond Dallas Page come out there and hand MJF this AEW ring, whatever crap, instead of a championship belt, it's an actual ring that you wear around your finger. I mean, Cody Rhodes should have been the one coming out there and handing MJF, because he's an EVP. So why wouldn't it be fitting that someone from AEW, the head of AEW, should be the one going out there? And what a twist that it's Cody Rhodes, because it's his duty to do so, and he goes out there and has a little fun. Wardlow gets in his face, or at least gets in between the both of those guys. Nothing too intense, just a couple stare downs and stuff like that, puffing some shoulders and some chest out, and hands him the ring. Is a gentleman about it, but then makes it clear that he's going to take it away from him, because he knows that MJF isn't going to be a true man that knows what a ring it represents and stuff like that. So I think they could have done more. I think the whole debut with the Bunny, the Blade, and the Butcher, I think you want to go after tag teams that are baby faces. You don't want to go after Cody, who's in the middle of a storyline that's maybe your second or third top storyline in the men's division. You want to have the Bunny and the Blade and the Butcher debut against a team like Private Party, or better yet, instead of the Lucha Brothers taking a loss to the fucking best friends in Orange Cassidy. What a fucking joke, man. Seriously, the best tag team in the fucking world losing to guys that go out there, can't even fucking wrestle, and give each other hugs in the middle of the ring. So have them debut against a team like that. And it's a 3-piece, so you could have done something where the Blade and the Butcher take out Trent and what's his fucking face, Chuck Taylor, take them out, and then you leave Orange Cassidy and the Bunny, and you get this really awkward moment, but it's also really fun to play with. And the Bunny low blows Orange Cassidy, because I mean, why not? I think that you want some major heat. You go after people that are fucking over, and you give them the fucking heat. All you really did was confuse people, because it's like, wait a minute, what's going on with the MJF storyline on here? And another thing too, it's you bring in the Bunny, the Blade, and the Butcher. Is there a fucking name for this team? But you bring them in, and they are this menacing, daunting, all wearing black tag team unit. But you still have the fucking Dark Order, who you haven't even got over, and now you're pushing them with these vignettes that are, somewhat good, but and somewhat come off more as some TNT series. I mean, for a second there, I thought I was watching, a series on TNT had come on, and maybe the feed had gone out early, and whatever was going to come on after AEW just came on in there. But no, it's a Dark Order stuff. It looks good. It looks good. I don't. It's maybe a little subliminal of the audience that they are going for, telling the story. Definitely, they're not talking about me. I can definitely tell that they are talking about AEW fans. The only question I have is, do AEW fans know that they are being targeted this way? Because I know it's being presented just kind of fictional, that there's a character in here that the Dark Order is trying to recruit into the Dark Order, but really, it really sounds like the head of AEW feels this way about their audience. So interesting stuff there. I'm going to leave at that. And of course, at the end of the show, Jon Moxley came out to meet Chris Jericho. Again, no, just a face-to-face. Obviously, Moxley was way in the stance and Jericho was in the middle of the ring, but obviously laying down the foundation for Jericho and Moxley down the road. But is Moxley even qualified for the wins? Maybe at some point this whole wins and rankings thing is going to come into play. I have a feeling that Cody might be, sticking his neck out there one more time, maybe have a match with Ambrose, and then maybe Cody can get his opportunity back. Who knows? But they do have a show coming up in January that's supposed to be called Bash at the Beach or have some kind of a beach theme. It's going to be down in Orlando, Florida, back down at Daly's place. So look forward to that. And, if you want to be AEW, you got to start off the year hot. January is always a great time to, lure new audience in the beginning of the year to your program. So we'll see from there. And that was AEW and NXT, guys, for the week. What to watch for, guys, is MLW and NWA Power. Be sure to check those shows out. They are available on YouTube for free. And our MVPs and floppers of the week, guys. This is where I give you guys my MVP and those who flopped. My MVPs for the week is Keith Lee and Rhea Ripley for their performances this weekend at War Games. And flopper of the week, guys, is AEW Women's Division. I talked about it during the show. Still needs some improvement from there, guys. And that's going to do it, guys, for another episode of Speaking Wrestling. I thank you so much. Be sure to head on over to our YouTube page. Look up Speaking Wrestling. Hit subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram at Speaking Wrestling and over on Twitter at Speaking Wrestle. You guys have a great weekend, guys. Happy Thanksgiving to you, and we'll do it again next week with episode 40. Bye-bye.